if that practitioner has the ability, has the training to know how to tap into this first kosha. Yes, you need emotions. Yes, you need clear thinking. Yes, you need the ability to reflect back on your life and mentally put things in place. Yes, you need to vision what your future is and have a way to get there. So it really keeps you alive. And yes, having access to this soul experience, so you can really feel the vibrancy of life and the magic of it. But if you don't have a foundation of safety that the rest of those can build on, literally you could die. Hey y'all, Craig Walker here from Subtle Energy Mechanics. I'm going to make this short video about energy healing and other healing techniques that I tried with a long childhood history of complex PTSD and then some significant PTSD incidences. Like in my early 20s, I flew through the windshield of my truck and then the truck landed on me and it kept flipping, and then I got an ambulance ride, and then I got a helicopter ride, then a couple of days in the ICU where they didn't know if I was going to make it, then another couple of weeks or a week or so in the ICU where I did make it, thank goodness. Then I had years of trying to figure out how the heck do you recover as a highly sensitive neurodivergent individual from now this overlapping thing where you've got high sensitivity neurodivergence with complex PTSD plus other PTSD from individual traumas. Like, it's a complex. So here's what I found, because I did find an incredible approach that was a game changer for me. And I'm going to talk about what it was that this guy did in a matter of about 10 minutes that changed the entire game. Because here's the way I was living life. Now, this is me frowning away. In my 30s, a couple of kids, going through medical school, wife, and I was not feeling safe, feeling incredibly stressed out, emotional. I was reactive. I was pissed off. I was gaslighting. I was being just an asshole. Okay. I was mentally challenged. I was confused about what was going on. I was overwhelmed. I didn't have enough time to think straight. I certainly didn't have an open, expansive view of really where I was going and the dream for my life, where I really wanted to deeply connect with my wife, with my kids, with my work, with myself, where I could really just relax and put everything down and surrender, where I could actually feel the radiance or glory of what this life could be. All right. So those were that's how I was living those days. Now I went into this guy's practice. He felt my spine. He touched me a couple of times lightly in the neck and the tailbone. Did that a few times walking around the room because he saw a number of other patients at the same time. And then within 20 minutes of leaving his office, I was completely out of pain. I had a full range of motion. I had clear thinking. I was breathing. I didn't know what the heck was going on. I was a little bit pissed off because it didn't seem like he had done anything, but he did. And this was not something that I had experienced with other approaches, right? This was dramatic. So then I went on this long journey trying to figure out what the heck he had done. I learned it. I do this with other folks. I call it attunement, energetic attunement. And I work with folks in person as well as online over Zoom. So if this sounds like something you've got going on, feel free to check and you're interested to hear, what it looks like to work with me, feel free to just to check for the title. That's my shameless plug. There you go. Didn't tell you that was coming. I just sprung it on you. Or you can listen to the rest of this talk and see if it actually makes more sense to figure out whether or not what I'm saying sounds like what may be going on with you. But this is what I also teach to other providers that want to add this into what it is that you do and you offer for people, because after 50,000 client sessions myself and now teaching others to do this work, it does continue to produce these seemingly miraculous results. And I've sort of peeled back what this game is that I stumbled across, and I'm excited to share it with you today. So what I have here is a person and then 5 rings around the person. Those 5 rings represent the 5 koshas in yoga. They're different energetic frequencies, if you will. And they talk about them being shells around a person. I can go into that in some other call, but what we want to talk about today is um, I was super tense. Again, I had been a victim of my truck smashing me 20 years, 15 years prior. And then I was seeing this guy on the table. So when I walked in, I was super tense, which means I had lots of good access to this second kosha. Second kosha stretches the muscles to get things done. Okay. So I was also thinking my way through life. And I was in medical school while I was running all these other issues in life, all my chores and things. So I had pretty good access to the third kosha, which is the lower mental. There's two layers of um, mental capacity. So I had pretty good access to this one too. So we'll draw a line here, and I had access to this one as well. So my body had access to those two energetic vibrations, which allowed me to feel emotion, energy moving, as well as thinking. Now I didn't have access to really the bigger picture, the dream, and really didn't have time to feel into where it was that I was going, what I was building. That's actually a different way of thinking. It's actually a little bit more complex way of thinking. And that would have been this one out here, the fourth kosha. I didn't have access to that one. And this fifth one, what they call the soul frequency, I may have had a little, but certainly not much. There wasn't much time spending time connecting with trees, connecting with clouds, connecting with birds, connecting with myself as a natural being, connecting with other natural beings. So I didn't really have much chance to play in that realm either. So I had these two: emotionally stressed, really tight, and thinking my way through life. Think. That was really where my life was lived. Now, what this guy did is he went and he touched me. He touched me while he was feeling the frequency in himself as well as in the space that was at this one right here, this first kosha. And this one, I would say, with almost all of my clients, plus the people I've worked with who've had significant energetic experiences on psychedelics. I've worked with some of those folks, and they can access out here and out here and out here. They can really feel this Kundalini awakening. But one thing that I do notice that some of those psychedelics do not help them connect to is this one right here, this very first one. But they're able to connect out here and pull the veil back, see life, see themselves as God, not separately, but really have a mystical religious experience. But at the same time, this first kosha right here was not being addressed. And that's what that guy on that first day on the table with me, he did connect me to. And which one is this? It's that first kosha. It's a very specific frequency that does what? When you connect it to yourself, it is a particular frequency again, or tone. It would be a sub-audible tone. But when that tone runs through the connective tissues in your body, and it starts out by running up and down through the spinal cord itself, which is the lower part of your brain. And if you're running a tone through the entire lower part of your brain, this entire spinal cord here, then what you're doing, you're running that one tone through the entire spinal cord here. And look, it goes to every single organ in the body. Every single organ in the body. You run that tone through, and it actually dumps what's called endogenous serotonin. We've all heard of serotonin. We've all heard of SSRIs, and we know that serotonin plays a huge role in how we feel, how we live. Well, this first kosha seems to play a key role in our body regulating and releasing its own serotonin throughout the system. What does that do? It creates the experience of safety. And what also does it do? How does it spread the serotonin everywhere? How does it spread that message? It actually triggers what I call a yawn reflex. It's a different type of yawn, but it's very close to the yawn. It's this slow motion, feels like you're being breathed. There's a switch in there. It feels like you switch from breathing to being breathed. You know, when you yawn and you go, it just starts coming up. That's you being breathed by whatever the yawn is. And that's the one thing that I found with whatever approach, whatever energetic approach, whether you're seeing a therapist and they're using some kind of attunement technique, some kind of somatic base to really help tap into the part of you that's experienced down here, that's run by part of your brain from the brain stem down. If that practitioner has the ability, has the training to know how to tap into this first kosha. Yes, you need emotions. Yes, you need clear thinking. Yes, you need the ability to reflect back on your life and mentally put things in place. Yes, you need to vision what your future is and have a way to get there. So it really keeps you alive. And yes, having access to this soul experience, so you can really feel the vibrancy of life and the magic of it. But if you don't have a foundation of safety that the rest of those can build on, literally you could die. I know that you didn't see that one coming, and I don't know that I was planning on saying that there, but with some of the folks that I've worked with long COVID who've actually been bedridden for years, and they've tried what, according to them, everything, and according to them, they felt like they were on death's bed. Like literally their heart wasn't guaranteed to continue to beat, according to them. And then, according to them, after doing this work, having this very first kosha addressed, it felt like all of the energy that was bound up in here was finally able to go, and they could feel internally things starting to come together that they knew intuitively needed to happen, but they didn't have words for it. They just knew healing wasn't happening and they needed to find it somewhere. So if you do nothing else, if you want to work with me, if you want to work with somebody else, it doesn't matter. Just find somebody that can activate that first kosha for you, so you get the switch from breathing to being breathed. So that innate intelligence moves through you and starts to reset with proper serotonin balance, with proper safety creation. That would be my suggestion. Now, my shameless plug again is this is what I do. This is what I do for folks. I do it online. I'm not a doctor. I'm not recommending that this is a therapeutic approach, right? If you have the disclaimer, it'll be written in the writing, but also the disclaimer is this shouldn't be taken as medical advice. If you want to see a doctor, if you feel like you've got a medical challenge, go see a provider and get the recommendations. Okay, there's the disclaimer there. That being said, my recommendation is find somebody who is trained professional in attunement in each one of these koshas. Now, many of the somatic approaches being taught to coaches and therapists and providers out there do not include training in each of these koshas. They don't name them. They don't even know that they exist. But it's all clearly laid out in the yogic literature, but it's not laid out specifically enough, in my opinion, for people to know that they're actually discrete frequencies that we can pull up in our body, and that they're not just meant to be played separately. They're actually meant to be coordinated together, so that the energy of this one way out here, which is so vibrant, can actually work down through this one and this one, this, and all the way down to this one, so that you can actually have all 5 frequencies moving together in a coordinated, complex fashion. And if they're not, then you'll be living in a more simplified operating system, and you can only simplify your human operating system so much before you actually can't live until tomorrow. So that's what's at stake with some of these folks. Maybe you. It feels like you want to hear more about this, feel free to look up my my information, website, and all. It's in the bio here. Happy to help you out that way. Otherwise, thanks for listening. If you like this content, please don't you dare hit subscribe, and certainly don't you dare hit that bell. Because I know how some of you are oppositional, defiant sort of thing, and then your last thing you're going to do is something I tell you to do. So good luck. All right, cheers, y'all.